Welcome back. Joining me now on a very busy news day is our panel. Julia Manchester, White House correspondent for The Hill. Chuck Rocha, host of the Substack show, The Rocha Revolution, and co-host of the Latino Vote podcast. And Rob Bluey, the president and executive editor of the Daily Signal, who's still stuck in the snow somewhere in suburban Washington, D.C. I should have picked you up on my way in, Rob, so that you could be here on set with us. But we'll find a way to make this work. Julia, let's start with you. Yeah. Out of the gate, we saw an aggressive response from the White House and DHS. This is how they tend to respond to every crisis. Yeah. But already we're starting to see them back away from how they initially responded to this. I want to play for you what the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said earlier today. Take a listen.
Again, the president has said, we have to review it, and this investigation needs to continue, and he's letting the facts in the investigation lead itself.
Letting the facts in the investigation lead to the conclusion. Also said that she wouldn't characterize, or the president wouldn't characterize Alex Pretti the way some others in the administration did. I mean, this is a pretty remarkable change of tune for the White House, isn't it?
The shift over the last 24 hours has been striking. And when we say some others in the administration, they're not necessarily going along with what DHS Secretary Kristi Noem said or Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller said. They are trying to distance President Trump from those comments and saying, let's have an investigation play out. I think President Trump previewed this a little last night with his interview with the Wall Street Journal, saying they're looking into everything. But the transition, or the shift over the last 24 hours, it's not only been striking, but it's also very much in contrast with how the administration responded to the shooting death of Renee Good just a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. And Rob, let's bring you in on that. I mean, what should we take from the different sounds that the White House is making over this issue? Did they get over their skis a little bit? Did the video from the bystanders seem to contradict those initial statements? And now we're learning there's body camera footage to be reviewed. Is it smart for the White House maybe to take a breath here before they make these declarations?
Ryan, I think that you're absolutely right. Every time you have a criminal situation like this, we've seen in the past where the FBI has perhaps prematurely said things that it came to regret in the days that elapsed as the investigation proceeded. And so I think, yes, everybody from those internet sleuths who are quick to evaluate the video footage to the White House itself, let's make sure that we have the proper facts before we make a decision. I am encouraged to see that Tom Homan is going to Minnesota, though, and that the White House and the governor of Minnesota seem to be finally on the same page when it comes to some level of cooperation.
But should the White House, Rob, do more to rein in some of these administration officials from making these declarations so early on in the wake of something so tragic?
Ryan, it's difficult. I mean, we live in an age right now where the social media platforms, images, videos that are distributed not by any official channels or even news organizations make their way into the public and the atmosphere. And so I think the administration officials probably feel a need to get in front of the cameras, to talk at press conferences, and to try to answer questions to the best of their ability. And sometimes they will say things that they may come to regret. But ultimately, I don't think that now is the time to shy away from the spotlight. I think they probably need to lean in and be more transparent.
Okay, Chuck, it's been 2 weeks since Renee Good's death. Obviously, there would seem to be two people could look at the video and have a completely different opinion as to what happened there. This one seems to be a little bit different. We're starting to see Republicans call for an active investigation. Obviously, the president responding differently. Is this just a matter of pressure building over a certain period of time?
Look, it don't take a Rhodes Scholar to figure out what was on that video. I'm no internet sleuth, but I can tell you what my eyes saw, and I think it's pretty clear what most people have seen from every angle. Sure, there's lots of things out there on the internet that you can see at any given time, but it's just not the instance here. And I think it's really important when we talk about these investigations to know that local law enforcement were kept away from the scene by federal agents. That's very troublesome to an American citizen who we watch get murdered in the street. I think it's also important to say that our government administration representatives have called this guy an assassin already and a domestic terrorist. And we all saw the video with our eyes. There was no either one of those things in front of us. That's why I think you see the administration backpedaling now.
Mm-hmm. And Chuck, how significant do you think the Second Amendment issue is as part of this? Are you surprised how quickly Second Amendment defenders are rushing to criticize the administration's response to this?
Look, I grew up in rural East Texas in a trailer park around lots of guns, and I've been dealing with Republicans coming after me with God, gun, gays, and the government since I was 20 years old. This is a bedrock of what Republicans have always believed in, no matter what the instance is, that you should be able to carry a law-abiding citizen have a right to have a gun, no matter what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. And Rob, do you think conservatives and Republicans in general could be messing with an issue that is very important to their base if they go too far leaning into this idea that he should not have had a weapon in this situation?
Well, Ryan, I think that is the word there. Should he have? I mean, yes, he can have a weapon as a concealed carry holder, but should you bring a gun to a protest and be in a situation where, maybe law enforcement makes a mistake? I mean, that is the question that is really central to this particular incident. I don't ultimately think conservatives are shifting their position when it comes to the Second Amendment. As a strong defender of the First and Second Amendment myself, I think ultimately it's right that Second Amendment groups are probably coming out and defending the right of individuals to carry arms.
Okay, Julia, we just got some news that I want to share with you and have you respond to. One White House and one administration official telling us, NBC News, that Border Control Commander Greg Bovino is expected to leave Minneapolis tomorrow. The administration official and one law enforcement official says that CBP is planning to reduce the number of Border Patrol agents in Minneapolis sometime this week. How significant is that? And is this an effort by the administration to de-escalate?
It's significant, but I don't think it's particularly surprising. Like I said, just yesterday, Gregory Bovino was really on the front lines for the administration defending the handling of what happened in the Pretti shooting. And now he's on his way out, seemingly out of Minneapolis. Today at the White House press briefing, Caroline Leavitt did note that, he would still continue on in Border Patrol across the country. So I think that was our first clue.
And what does it tell us maybe about just President Trump's overall confidence in the people that are executing his mass deportation plan? Does it show that maybe there's some concern there?
I think it shows that there are questions, maybe some concerns. I think it's notable that you've heard people like Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, Senator Ted Cruz, for example, a lot of these Republicans who are normally staunchly with the president saying that he needs to recalibrate his strategy when it comes to ICE and Border Patrol, particularly in Minnesota. So I think this is part of that.
And so, Chuck, we also saw that Governor Tim Walz had a conversation with President Trump. Both described it as productive. Now we see this action with bringing Bovino out and reducing the number of CBP officers there. Do you think that this is a sign that they're trying to find some common ground?
People in politics and in public policy know that this is horrible for every person out there, American citizens and politics as a whole. I make TV commercials for a living. I run campaigns for a living. I'm going to run an ad that say that money was taken from our U.S. government for Medicaid and Medicare and funding an organization called ICE. This is your taxpayers used to kill our own citizens. That's the ad that Republicans are worried about being run against them.
Okay, and then, Rob Bluey, we'll finish with you here. This immigration issue was something that was a net positive for President Trump in the White House. I'm sure there were a number of House Republicans in particular that were planning on being a net positive for them heading into the midterm elections. Polls are showing us that that's heading in the other direction. Is it important for the administration to figure this out now, or is it going to become an issue that weighs on these candidates in the upcoming election?
Sure, Ryan. And as you know, I mean, it was the animating issue of the 2024 presidential campaign, maybe only second to the cost of living. And so I think you have to separate the two issues. There's the issue at the border, which the president continues to be very strong on. I think even Democrats acknowledge that he's had wins there. And then there's the issue of immigration enforcement. And I think that that's what they're trying to recalibrate right now.
Okay.
But we're not talking about the border. We're talking about killing U.S. citizens in our streets. That's the problem they have.
Okay, and that's where we're going to have to leave it. Chuck gets the last word in. Julia, Chuck, and Rob, we appreciate you all being here. We thank you so much for your time. And, of course, as